Coming from where I'm from, we see the destruction of the land, the rejuvenation of the clan, white substances distributed by the black man. We see baby mamas becoming mamas' babies. Some of these innocent children are being left without fathers. Coming from where I'm from, we laughed and cried, but coming from where I'm from, we can't help but to survive.
Wow.
Hear me when I tell you now, I thank you, mama, for who I am. I thank you, mama, for who I turned out to be. When I lost my daddy, was only you, mommy.
Good afternoon. It's March the 6th already, 2012. I'm your host, Dr. Peter K.B. St. Jean. You're looking live here at CAN TV, Peaceful World Movement show called the Peaceful World Movement in Focus and the Peaceful World Movement Network. You know, for our show, we bring to you different activities and information that's relevant to the maintenance of a peaceful world for this non-for-profit organization headquarters here in the city of Chicago and doing work around the world. Well, we have the pleasure of bringing to you a guest with us for the very first time, Mr. Maurice Hayes. Thank you so much for coming out.
No problem, man.
Yes. Mr. Hayes is a very talented young man, right here from the city of Chicago. Last time we had a musical artist from Chicago, and this time we have another artist, but he has some spoken word. He's a poet, he's a motivational speaker, and he's going to talk to you about his life story. One of the things that the viewers are probably very used to is the fact that we believe in recycling human successes, human failures, human suffering, and human creativity. And quite often we have persons who have made mistakes in their lives in the past, or whose past have somehow allowed them to give us unique understandings of certain difficulties in life. So, so Maurice is one of such persons. He has written this book here, behind the eyes, right? Behind these eyes, right? Yeah. Behind these eyes, and we will be talking about some of his poems. He'll be talking about what has motivated him to write the book, and he will be talking. I'll have him actually read or speak to a few pieces. We even put him on the spot, ask him what is his favorite piece, and he's not allowed to answer, well, I don't have a favorite. I like all of them, right? So again, welcome to the show. Can you tell our viewers a bit about yourself?
Well, as you said, my name is Maurice Hayes. I recently was released from prison after serving 17 and a half years in prison, and it was there where I developed my craft to write and do spoken word. It was more therapeutic than anything for me to write. So all the emotions and the different things that I felt while in prison, I found a way to transcribe them in several books, actually. This is not the only one that I have. I have two more coming out March 15th, Behind These Eyes Volume 2, which is more of an autobiography than a poetry book. I also have Outcry, the Rebirth, and the Outcry, the Lineup, which will also be out on the 15th as well. But it was during those times when I was in prison where you have to find introspection, find the time to reflect on all the things that affected you throughout your journey. And it was there that I grew up instead of growing old. I often use that phrase because there's a difference. Naturally and scientifically we grow older as human beings, but it's a choice to actually grow up. And I chose that time to utilize to get myself together, to get rid of all the vulnerabilities and insecurities that I had in order to be prosperous once I return.
I want to remind you that you're looking here live at CAN TV at Channel 21, as you are, 312-738-1060. This is a live call-in show. I know some of you may be a little bit confused because I believe the show that usually comes around this time, I believe it's on domestic violence, if I'm correct. And usually we come on and a hospice show comes on afterwards. So we'll be with you. We'll have the pleasure of having us here for the next hour. We will go straight on until 6:25 or so. So you feel free to call in with interest in the subject matter. I know Maurice has some fans out here, some family members, mom and grandma. I think I heard you speak too, and maybe your sister,
my
your
daughter,
right?
watching as well.
Your daughter, 17-year-old daughter, is 16?
No, my daughter, she's 15. She'll be 16
sorry,
in April. Yeah.
16 in April. Maybe she probably thinks she's 17, right?
No, my baby all together.
She's all right.
Yeah,
now?
she's
well,
good.
It doesn't mean if she thinks she's 17, she's not all together now. Because sometimes you have them. She's probably 17 with mathematics. You know, some of them are pretty advanced. I don't mean it in a negative way. Because some of them, like I say, my daughters are growing quickly, but not fast. You know,
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I understand that.
And sometimes they're intellectually ahead of themselves.
Yeah, and she truly is. She's a very intelligent young lady.
Yes,
surprises me every time I speak to her.
So tell us, I know some viewers usually want to hear that someone was incarcerated. One of the first things they want to know is they want them to, speak honestly about what were they incarcerated about, what are the circumstances of their lives that kind of led that. So what you can share with the viewers?
Well, I was actually incarcerated for the crime of first-degree murder. I was charged on the accountability theory, and I was sentenced to 35 years.
What is accountability theory?
Well, it's saying that you caused whatever action took place. You wasn't actually the shooter or the actual gunman, but you created the situation that took place. So they told me, or they charged me with that, under that premise, that I created the situation that took place.
So, I mean, if you're, as much as you're comfortable to tell us, like, give us an example of what happened, like what was created.
Well, it was a dispute, and a young man lost his life. And that's as far as I'm comfortable with going with that. But the young man lost his life, and I regret that every day. It wasn't his life, it wasn't my life, or no one else's life to take. And I'm remorseful for it, and I hate the fact that it happened. And I apologize to the families who lose loved ones through violence. And I can speak from a personal situation, I can speak from experience. And most of us who grow up, as I mentioned earlier, we find that to take someone's life for no apparent reason is absolutely dreadful. And
no, I think there's a good lesson there for young, especially for young people, without necessarily getting into anything that you're not comfortable with. What kind of situation then can a person find themselves that they may not be the trigger puller, they may not be the knife stabber?
Well, you can just be there. You can be there and be in association with the person who actually commits the crime. You can be a friend of his, be on location. You can be a person who drove him to the scene or drove him away from the scene. You can be a person who disposed of the weapon, or whatever the case may be. Your name can be mentioned in the situation, and you can also be charged with that crime, no matter if you actually committed it or not.
So you got 35, you were sentenced for 35 years?
I was sentenced to 35 years.
And you did
17 and a half.
17 and a half. And was anybody else charged in this?
Yeah, it was a couple more people that was charged.
How much time did they get? You got to send, you remember?
One of them was acquitted of the crime, and another one, he's still in prison. He'll be home shortly.
Oh, wow. Well, so you have the time there, and I remember reading in your forward in the introduction, when you mentioned, like you said, about growing up and not growing old or something of that sort. Can you? I want to get to kind of your first poem. Something about where I'm from. I think it says
who I am and where I'm from.
Yes, who I am and where I'm from. Again, we're talking here about the book Behind These Eyes by Maurice, and it is that is the first. First of all, why is this the first poem anyway?
I was trying to, when I created the book. Again, this was my first book.
Right.
Everything that I did was from experimenting, so to speak. So I wanted to speak about where I was from, and the things and the perils that go on in the neighborhoods where I'm from. I am from what they call the ghetto, or the urban communities, and that community is the most misunderstood community there can be, but it's the most emulated community as well. Those who don't understand it try to live up to what the stereotype is, but it's much more than that. And there are great people there. There are great people with boundless potential there, but we're not seen as that. We're overlooked in a sense. And when I wrote coming from where I'm from, I just wanted to chronicle that, to let people know that where I'm from, we can produce and create all the greatness that everyone else from anywhere else in the city of Chicago or the world, for that matter, can create. And I don't want people to just look down on the hoods or the ghettos that they talk so badly about, because I'm a product of that.
Do you know this one by heart?
No, I do not know that by heart.
Well, guess what? Again, this is a live call-in show, 312-738-1060. We're looking at the Peaceful World Movement show, the Peaceful World Movement in Focus. Your host, Dr. Peter K.B. St. Jean, here with Maurice Hayes. Well, Maurice, I guess the audience actually, and I am interested to hear you read your own poem. I read it, but
Okay.
I want to hear your cadence. Can you give us a taste of it? Put
Absolutely.
the life to it, the spoken word performer,
Sure.
motivational speaker,
Absolutely. This is coming from where I'm from.
and give it the life. Just give it the life it's got.
From the book Behind These Eyes, Volume 1. And it reads, coming from where I'm from, we see the gravity-defying lean of a dope fiend, the no-holds-barred hustle of a clucker, the best friend of a syringe and an alcoholic coming off his night's binge, searching for his friend so he can do it all over again. We see big girls that are now thin. Their car antenna is what she puts her diet in. We see former b-boys scratching without a turntable. We see street lawyers standing on street corners asking for quarters so he can get a taste. We see Thunderbird and Night Train moving at the same pace, but the amount of change gains determine who will win that race. Coming from where I'm from, we see hood rats nibbling on small stacks of cheese. Fancy traps even got the mice living on their knees. We see vanishing thongs for hits off the weed bone. We see cheap thrills for cheap pills. We see gang stars and so-called gangsters. We see holes in woods, but the hammer wasn't the banger. It was the hammer on that banger that put that wood around that stranger. Coming from where I'm from, we see the back-breaking shaking of a dying Jamaican. We hear hot burning screams from a dope dealer on his knees, red blood flowing as he directs you to the keys. We see mountains of dust and dinner plates of rock. Dude just got popped, so his hustle just stopped. Coming from where I'm from, we see the destruction of the land, the rejuvenation of the clan, white substances distributed by the black man. We see baby mamas becoming mamas' babies. Some of these innocent children are being left without fathers. Coming from where I'm from, we laughed and cried, but coming from where I'm from, we can't help but to survive.
Wow, 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 wow. And I see here, coming from where I'm from, we can't help but to rise.
Mm-hmm.
He said to survive, but it says to rise.
Yeah.
Rock, if you are in ground zero,
Mm-hmm.
the only way is where? The only direction is up.
And it's up.
Now, what do you have to say about people who hear about the hood, as they may call it?
Yeah.
I don't like to say the ghetto word because ghetto was it's a place of people together for particular reasons, and it has
Absolutely.
gotten a kind of a negative connotation. So I don't use the word very often. So what do you have to say about people who may want to wear a pant, or may want to wear a shirt, or may want to have a swag, or want to act like they're tough, or want to portray in their persona something that they believe is the hood?
Well, again, it's misunderstood
Okay.
for the most part. I think people who try to emulate what they see in these urban communities, or even in these rap videos and the message that they present in their craft, I think it presents some way of being cool.
Okay.
I mean, swag is just you. Whoever you are, you have to be comfortable with that, no matter what, because trying to be something else can get you in a world of trouble. So when you think about the hood and you think about the things that go on in the hood, it's a culture in itself. It's a subculture of a wider and broader culture. And every community, every ghetto, every hood has its own swag, has its own language, has its own dialect, the way it moves. So for you to see it and want to emulate that, you have to first understand what you're trying to emulate. You have to first realize what you're doing. Because in some places, wearing blue can mean that you're something else and it can cost you your life. Not understanding the dynamics of what these streets are can ultimately end in death. So a lot of people who see that and don't really take into account the realness and the ramifications that surrounds it can put themselves in a bad situation. The hood is a state of mind, man. You understand what I'm saying? It's not the stereotypical place where people say it's just dismal. It's not, because the hood was once a prosperous place. It was a place where you could leave with your door open. It was a place where kids can stand outside late at night and just be themselves and have fun, and there was someone on that block to take care of them. Time, evolution, it changed that. I think
What happened? What caused it to change from here?
the crack era. The crack era, it stole parents. You understand? So when you steal parents and you take the stronghold from the family, it leaves the child to fend for himself. And us not knowing as adolescents, with the adolescent mind, we don't actually know how to fend for ourselves. So we find things and people to tutor us or teach us. And oftentimes that tutelage is the wrong tutelage.
Now, if you're comfortable, let us know what neighborhood or section of Chicago you grew up in.
I come from the west side of Chicago, Chicago Avenue. That's
Okay.
where I'm from. Yeah,
Okay.
I hung out over there prior to my incarceration.
And what's your own experience with your parents and growing up? What was the involvement of your mother, your father in your
Well,
life?
My mother passed away when I was 8,
Mm.
and my father, he's always been a father. He was a birthday father, Christmas father. He really wasn't there initially in my life, but I always knew him. You know what I mean? I always talked to him whenever he came around.
Mm-hmm.
After my mom passed, we moved away for a little while, and then we came back to a place where we thought we was moving with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, that wasn't the case. So at a very young age, I left. Very young age, I just left.
How young was that?
I was 13.
Mm.
Yeah, I left. And for a long time, I slept on friends' couches. You know, I was telling my daughter last night that I actually slept on porches.
Mm.
And then I would get up when the sunlight came up, and I would leave and come back about 8 o'clock and knock on the door as if I had just arrived. So that led me to the streets. It led me to sell drugs and do the things that I was doing because I was seeking that family.
Mm.
And again, ultimately it led me to prison.
Mm.
It led me to prison. And it was then when I got incarcerated that my dad actually became my father.
Mm.
You know, he stood up. He stood up every step of the way he was there up until he passed away. My father is a blues legend. His name is Willie Kent. And he's an amazing man that I didn't know prior to my incarceration. But when I finally realized who my dad was, not Willie Kent the musician, but Willie Kent the man.
Mm.
He was an amazing cat, man, and I wish I'd have had more time with him.
Mm.
But my life was tumultuous in the fact that I really didn't have parents when I was younger. And
Mm.
I really wasn't able to listen to anyone who wanted to tell me anything positive because my life was what it was.
Now, you know, you amazed me this morning when we were in session because Maurice is one of my students over at Leonard's house where I teach a relationship course on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 o'clock or whenever we get
Yeah,
started or
whenever
whenever
we
we get
start,
stopped, you know,
yeah.
sometimes, so somewhere in between. And this morning, you know, I passed around. Well, tell them what happened. Tell them the exercise we did this morning.
Well, we had
and
an
tell them the
exercise
word.
where we had different cards. We had a green card, we had a white card, and he asked us to put on there, what do we value most? And once we wrote it down on our particular cards, we had to pass it to our neighbor. And on my card, I wrote children. My children, my two
Right.
kids. I have an amazing daughter, Bridget. She saved my life, literally.
Mm.
She's my lifesaver. And I have a son, Maurice Jr. And you asked me, why do I value them?
Right.
And I told you because there's nothing more important in this world than my kids.
Absolutely. Why is that the case?
I'm a father.
Mhm.
And again, my mother passed when I was younger. My father came when I was later on in incarceration. And for them, I did the exact same thing.
Mhm.
I've been in prison their entire life.
Mm.
Their entire life. And while I was in prison, mentally I concocted an idea of what I wanted to be as a father.
Mm.
And for my daughter, as again, I told you she's my lifesaver. It wasn't until she was born that I actually decided to change my life.
Wow.
You know, it was something that I can't really explain to you, the dynamics of it, but while I was a child, I longed for my mother
Mm.
because I feel I didn't receive the teachings that only she can give.
Mm.
So when my daughter was born, she looks identical to my mother.
Wow.
Identical to her.
Hmm.
Body frame, facial features, and everything. She looks identical to my mother. So in a spiritual way,
Mm.
I said the Father sent my daughter to change my life.
Wow.
And it absolutely served its purpose. I am totally a different guy than I was prior to my incarceration. And I owe all that to her.
And in your book, you talk about that void. I don't remember which. I don't know, remember if where it was in one of the poems or if it was in the intro where you talk about that kind of hole. You refer to it as kind of an empty
As a whole,
space.
it's an empty space. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an empty space because you receive women in general, which is why I love women. The thought of a woman, I love because they are the first teachers, they are the first mother, they are the first protectors, they are everything. And when my mother passed, I longed for that. So that hole that she could only feel has been left empty to this day. I still haven't filled it, but I found a way to get around it and move around it and still grow from it.
And we had a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. I couldn't help feeling this. You mentioned, I think it was some Aunt Gloria or something.
Those are people that are called mom.
Yeah, but
Gloria Jackson, Dorothy
right.
McLaughlin, Martha Graves. Yeah.
Miss Gloria. So tell me about Miss Gloria. What role did she play in your life?
Well, again, when I was in the streets selling drugs, I dated her daughter, and we always respected Mama because she was the mama on the block, and she actually was so sweet and kind to everybody that you couldn't help but love her. And when I went to prison, she told me this. When I went to prison, I called her. I was in Stateville actually, and I had absolutely nothing. I had nothing, and she told me when I went to prison, when I got my time, that whatever you need, just call me. And me, even now, I'm pretty self-sufficient. I hate asking people for anything. So even then, I didn't want to ask her for anything. But I called her one day, hard pounding, racing, because that's not what I do. And I told her, I said, Mama, I don't have anything. I need a TV, I need a radio, I need clothes, the whole nine. And she said, read off the list of how much it cost. So I'm reading off the list. And things were expensive back then. TV was expensive. Everything was expensive. And she sent it.
Oh, wow.
She sent it.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel loved. It made me feel like someone actually cared and they understood my plight. And to this day, I love her to death.
Yeah.
The same with Dorothy McLaughlin. I love her to death.
So how you think that relationship with Dorothy McLaughlin, as you talk about Miss Gloria, the loss of your mother, the birth of your daughter, I don't know, we'll talk about the women in your life. How did that affect the respect that you have for women in your life? And we'll read one of you probably have about four or five poems that are central towards respect for women. But how did that loss and that gain and that relationship with women and your daughter affect the respect that you eventually grew for women? How did it impact that?
It impacted a great deal. I've always had that. I've always had respect for women. Though with the lifestyle that I was living, I pretty much lived a life of misogynist. I call it a male whore. But I've always had the respect. I hate a person who hits women. I hate a person who disrespects women to the point where they degrade them and kill their self-esteem. I despise those individuals. So I never was that guy. But Miss McLaughlin, Miss Jackson, Miss Graves, all of these people showed me a motherly love in a time where I needed it the most. When no one else was there, they were there. Ruthie Kent, my stepmother, she showed me love that I really can't explain. But these are important people in my life. And they were important people in my life when I was doing bad, and they remain important people in my life now that I'm on a different road.
Do you mind reading us to us this poem?
I am woman. I didn't actually write that. That was a young lady by the name of Natisha Bryant.
Okay.
If you look at my book.
Okay, so which one?
This is a young lady who actually wrote that.
So which one of the dedications to the women here? Which one?
It's many.
One that you wrote. Can you read one that you wrote again?
Absolutely.
Feel free to call us here at 312-738.
Well, I know about her.
1060. You know it by heart. Then we're gonna go for it. We have Maurice here, the spoken word artist, motivational speaker, student that's in Leonard's house building his life.
This one's entitled Her Existence.
Her Existence.
And it's, your existence exemplifies the magic of the wind, the majestic marvel of the birds, and the wonder of me. At times I wonder, how can I be Adam and my ribs produce Eve when my Eve is the vessel that produced me? I've completed my genesis with the realization that I am nothing without you. Incomplete in my spiritual understanding if I refuse to recognize that the earth is you. Perched upon that pedestal, I kneel at your feet while grasping at your heart's core. I long to breathe the same air as you, for my lungs are tainted with polluted oxygen from faulty ventilation. The world has held a pillow over my face in an attempt to suffocate the truth, so I willingly suffer while refusing to let you go unnoticed. Even when you can't see yourself, I illuminate your presence in the presence of misogynists. I would be remiss to dismiss the universe's gift to me. So I stand armed in armor, pledging my allegiance to protect your honor. I vow to defend your honor at all costs, no matter if it costs me mine. So when I see you, I realize that it is your existence that make my existence worthwhile.
And what's the title again?
Her Existence.
Her Existence. And The callers must be just silently here enjoying the free show. Feel free to call in at 312-738-1060. You will not be disturbing us. You can ask us questions. You can ask Maurice questions about from what you have heard so far. We are approaching the first half of our show. We're with you for 55 minutes today. We've just gone past the first 25 minutes or so, and we'll be looking forward to the other half. And we have our first caller. Caller, are you on the air? Thank you so much for calling.
Hi, yes, my name is Tillman.
Can you please turn down your TV? Can you turn down the volume on your TV, please?
Sure, one moment.
That's my sister right there.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, Maurice.
Hey, sis, what's up, baby?
Good going. Nice interview. But my question to you, how are you planning on changing a lot of things that you've been through?
Well, you know, sis, you was there while I was incarcerated, and you know that while I was going through what I was doing, I was reflecting on everything that went on, and I found a way to forgive and move past a lot of things that happened to me. I believe everything happens for a reason. I don't question anymore why things took place. I think it was a part of my journey, and my journey is what it is. I'm triumphant because I was willing to fight. I found victory because I was willing to fight. So everything that happened in the past is what the past is, but as you know, those that I love stand beside me. Those that wasn't standing beside me, then, you know, I shake their hand and wish them well, but I've moved past a lot of things, and I don't have room for any more nonsense in my life. So when I move forward with those who was there when I was down. And I move past things like that, baby girl. You know that's how you and I spoke about this before. The difference between siblings and relatives and sisters. You are my sister. I love you. That's how we move, baby.
So, are you still there, caller?
Yes, I am.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I am so proud of you.
Thank you, baby.
All right, and I love you.
I love you as well.
And if ain't nobody told you today, your big sister told you. I'm so proud of you, boy.
I know, baby.
What makes you most proud? What are you most proud about him? What are you most proud of?
I am most proud about him because he came from a little boy to a man, an intelligent
That's for sure.
man.
Thank you, baby.
I have tears in my eyes for you right now, Maurice.
I love you, girl. Get off the phone before you make me cry now.
That's all right. Big Bang can cry. You chase her up. She listens to you.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
She better listen to Maurice.
That's my big sister, too.
That's a big sister.
Yeah, she thinks she's my mama.
I should listen to you. She thinks she's your
That's
right.
my baby.
Isn't that how all the big sisters do? The good big sisters.
Good big
right?
sisters. Yeah, absolutely.
All the good big sisters always want to whip you in shape. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, in your book, you mentioned that growth is voluntary.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It just doesn't come naturally. You have to want growth. You have to want change. You have to chase it. Mm-hmm. And it's steps in the process. Progress is a process. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that's holding you down at any point in your life, you have to find a way to work through it. You have to create a process. And my process just so happened to be while I was in prison, realized that I didn't want to return the same way that I went. Mm. And I created the process of my own to, again, as I spoke about earlier, to kill all the vulnerabilities and insecurities that I had. Most of the time we do things for others' approval, simply because we have some form of insecurity or we feel there's some form of vulnerability there. I'm not that no more. You know, I am a confident man, and I know that I can achieve and do whatever I want to do without the applause of my peers. I do it for me. I do it for my kids. I do it for my family. And I don't need no one's acceptance. I accept me today.
So you're saying that if one has to be successful in making changes in their life, they first of all, they themselves have to voluntarily submit themselves to that change.
Absolutely.
Because you mentioned that it wasn't forced on you.
No.
Well, from your own experience, having spent 17 years in the prime of your life in prison, do you have examples of guys who the change was being forced on and how they responded, as opposed to people who that same lesson, you know,
Well, I don't know if I have any examples, but I could speak to change being forced upon someone.
Okay.
Change being forced upon someone is basically a dictatorship saying that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. And most of the time you will have people who rebel. I mean, that's just natural. The more resistant that you get, the more resistant that you receive. It's just that dynamic. Everyone has to find it in themselves somewhere to do something different. When you become accustomed to being hopeless, then you live in that. I don't want to be hopeless. I have so much hope, and it's limitless for me. So I only can speak for myself and what I wanted to achieve in life, and I fought for it. I fought for it against all the resistance that the prison system can offer, against all the resistance that, as I said, the ghettos and the hoods can offer. I found light in the hood, which I found light in myself as well. And now I know how I can go about changing someone else's life. We spoke about that before. These kids today are experiencing a level of hopelessness. And when they experience a level of hopelessness, they have to find a way to act out and to receive the attention, whether it's negative or positive, from whoever they're seeking it from. And we have to find a way to cultivate them in a different way. If we don't cultivate them, then the streets going to continue to be what the streets are today. You have to think about all these young lives who was being lost these past few years. And I salute Diane Latiger so much. I read about her and learned about her while I was in prison, so I salute her and I applaud her for everything that she's doing.
Tell
actually
the listeners who she is.
Well, Diane Latiger is the one who started Kids Off the Block. She's also the young lady who put those bricks on in front of her home and transformed her home into a community center for kids. That small act that she did transformed every life that she's a part of.
Let's take a call.
Okay, we'll take a call.
Caller, you're on live with us here at Ken TV. Thank you so much for calling, caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a question for Maurice.
Yes, ma'am.
What would be your message to the kids today that's out on the street and they are committing all these crimes and doesn't really know what's going on and what the prison life is that's involved with prison life? What would be your message to them?
Well, first and foremost, prison is not what most people think it is. The biggest strain on prison is the emotional and mental hardship that you go through. The physical incarceration, for me, I only can speak from my experience, wasn't too bad. It was the mental anguish. It was the emotional anguish that I experienced while in prison. And I believe, to answer your question, was what can I tell young kids who are participating in the life that I lived? There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You think about today and the sentences that they're handing out for these young men and these young women who are committing these crimes. Fortunately for me, when I went to prison, I only had to do 50% of my time, but now they're giving people time that would sit you down for the rest of your life. The rest of your life. 35 years, 85 years, 100 years at 100%. That's pretty much your life. So I would explain to them that you have to know that you are greater than whatever your circumstances, whatever your experience is, whatever your surroundings is. Don't be a product of your environment. I hate that term. I believe in being a product of expectation. And me, personally, I expect more out of all my young people. There's nothing greater in this world than you. You can be whatever you want to be. You just have to take the time to find out what that is and begin the process to be that. Don't let the kids on the block be the only place where you can find refuge. You can find refuge in a neighbor, an auntie, a cousin, someone who can actually guide you towards the right place. Prison is absolutely not the place that you want to be. The streets are absolutely not a place that you want to be. So many young people are losing their lives literally to death and prison. So it's a double-edged sword that's taking our children from us. And as parents, as adults, as community leaders, community activists, we have to do more than talk to a camera. Every time a camera come around, somebody want to get on the camera and talk about how they want to change something. But the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Put the cameras down. Get out there and do something. All the resources and networking that all these organizations have, refuse to actually put that to actual use. Do something for the children. Stop worrying about fattening your pockets and do something for the kids. They need you.
And Mama, you still there? Mama, you gone? I know another thing.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Do you have anything else? Any more questions? Any comments?
Well, I would like to not comment, but have his opinion on the kids that's walking around today with their pants at their.
Pull your pants up. Clowns wear their pants hanging off their butt. Be a man. Be a young man. Pull your pants up on your butt. Don't nobody want to see your underwear. That's it, Mama.
and they also said that this originated from the prison. Is that a correct analysis?
What'd you say, Mom?
Now, they are saying that the pants at below your waistline originated from the prison. Is that a correct analysis?
Well, I don't know where it was originated, Mama, but yeah, they in jail, people wear their pants hanging off their butts, and the stigma that's associated with that is that they are homosexuals. That's not necessarily the truth. Though homosexuals do it, and maybe in the past, before I went to prison, they were actually doing it that way. But everyone wears their pants off their behind now if they're younger. I mean, I think it's the generational culture that we find ourselves in now is when they say swag. That presents some form of swag. I can't explain it, but as a man, I will ask all young men just to pull your pants up, be more presentable and respectful to not only yourself, but to all those individuals who say they love you and who are a part of your life. Respect is very big for me. I hate disrespect, so just respect yourself and respect everyone around you. Don't no one want to see your underwear, man. Pull your pants up.
Omar, we want to thank you so much for calling us today.
Thank you.
And keep supporting this wonderful young man.
Thank you.
Now, how old were you when you were incarcerated for something?
I went to prison. I called my case at the age of 17.
17.
Yeah, but prior to me going to jail this time, I was in jail a lot. In and out of jail. I actually, first time I went to the county jail, I was 14. I used to say I was older so I can bond out. But, that was that's what I did then. No.
Caller, thank you so much for calling. You're live with us.
Hi, Reese, this is Sandy.
Hey, baby.
Hey, I'm just wondering if you would be willing to read or recite 180 Bricks for me. I love that poem. And
180 Bricks?
Uh-huh.
All right.
I read that poem often in my class, and I think it'd sound much better coming from you.
So, Sandy was all right.
Sandy, yeah.
Sandy, where do you know? What's your relation to Maurice?
Oh, it's complicated. I was a friend of his dad's, and I've been a support person for him and for a while, and I'm very proud of him as a man.
What are you most proud of him for?
I think that he. Well, first of all, because he's a wonderful father. He came out and he had a very clear idea of what he wanted to do with his kids. And he took a really bad situation and he prospered in it. He made himself, as he said, grow up. He became a man, and he's going out and doing all the things he said he would do, and it just makes me very proud.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, yes. And he thanks you in the book as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's her pet name? Everybody has a nickname in here. What's Sandy's name?
That's Sam.
Sam.
I call her Sam. I call her baby. That's Sam.
That's right.
I call her
a nickname, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, go for it.
This is 180 Bricks at the request of Sandy. And, it says, I'm wrapped in a concrete hole, vulnerably exposed to its every eye. It seemed many come and go, laugh and cry into some unfortunate ones. They were seen by this concrete hole wither and die. I stare at it, unaware that it stares back, knowing more about my surroundings than I do. As I sleep, its eyes are keenly on cue, watching me as I dream, listening as I scream, harmless to the naked eye, but mischievous to those that walk by, playing tricks with the mind and blurring your sight, excruciating as you feel this visionless stare every day and night. Its exclusionist tactics forbid one from enjoying life. It makes one excogitate beyond this concrete hole and regurgitate its impure intake. As much as this oppressor eliminates time, it rejuvenates the mind, leaving you to rewind your subconscious tape, then constantly evaluate what's really at stake. I'm wrapped in the concrete hole. I'm living between 180 bricks. Watching me as I write this piece, it's frowning at my accomplishments and laughing at my grief. I dream about the open air balloon that I crave, as manipulative as it is, stingy to some, but one with a little narcissism is willing to give. For the teachers, I thank you. For my dishonor, I apologize, but I can never be content. I don't crave your love, you selfish, mind-altering, manipulative 180 bricks.
So, Sandy, what do you like about that poem so much?
I love the part where he says how, even though he was in that 180 bricks, he rewound tape in his mind. And for me, that's really powerful. And he had that choice to rewind that tape and think about it.
You know, oftentimes in our lessons, and following the gentleman who actually founded the opportunity for us to be at St. Leonard's house, where I teach this relationship course, and Mr. Bell, who's on the phone, also has served as a volunteer there. We often say that there is nothing more powerful than a made-up mind.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and the question is what you make up your mind for. But when you make up your mind for bad, nobody could turn you around. But when you make up your mind for good, really nothing can stop you.
Yes, that's true. And I want to say a shout out for St. Leonard's House. I was a student there many years ago, and it is a beautiful place, and a place where people can really get their feet on the ground again and have this kind of support, and it's a great place.
Yes, and we're looking forward to have a youth model of St. Leonard's House. I think there needs to be a few of them in the city, because the wonder that the man's life can change around, I think the youth, if they're able to have that at an early age, it'll make wonders to prevent them from getting an adult incarceration.
I agree totally. I totally agree. So thank you very much, and thank you, Reese. Love
All right,
you.
baby.
And thank you for being one of the 360 bricks in his life. No, is there another call? No, Maurice, in your book, you say that, and that's something that you can also tell the youth, to don't let people's belief become your reality.
Absolutely.
What do you
Again,
mean by-
like I told you earlier, the hood is a state of mind. So some people who are not familiar with what the hood is, they have this preconceived ideal of what it is. So it's that belief that actually changes their reality.
Yes, so let's accommodate the caller. Tell him calling on there.
Caller, you on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Uncle Maurice.
Hey, baby girl, what's up?
You better tell some of your
Nothing
nephews
much.
to
I'm
call.
just calling to let you know that my granny and my granddaddy and my mama and myself, we are all proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Regardless of everything that you've been through, you came out as a strong black man. And I appreciate the word that you're putting out there for all the young men and young women today.
Thank you, baby.
And I just want to let you know that we love you.
All right, baby.
And that's-
I
what is
love
she-
you
that's
too.
your-
That's my niece. That's my sister's daughter. That's my baby girl. That's for 17 years. She never left.
Wow.
Never left.
So why did you stick behind him? Why? She's gone. You're gone. She's gone.
She never left for 17
maybe
years.
Maybe she can call back and tell us why did she stand behind you? And I know she's family and everything, but I'm sure that every family stood behind you, because I saw you give a shout out to the hitters also in the book.
The haters can get it too. The cynics, the pessimists, everybody can get a shout out. Yeah.
Right. So I know she could have been on the other side. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to know why she wasn't on the other side. Caller, you're live with us again. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes. Is that the same caller? Is that the same person? Is that
That's you, baby girl?
No, this is another. This is Mrs. Ingram.
Hi, Mrs. Ingram. You're live. Ms. Ingram, you're here?
Yes, I am.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Let's tell us your mind. Yes, Ms. Ingram.
Yes, I am so proud of this young man. We all make mistakes in life. None of us is perfect. When God created this universe, He said,
Miss Ingram, can you turn down your volume, Miss Ingram, please? That help us a great deal. Can you please turn down your volume? And when you turn it down, you come right back on and start back from where you left off, please. I'd really appreciate it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, do you know Miss Ingram?
No.
Wow, you have all these ladies calling, huh? Your aunties, your cousins. Yes, Miss Ingram. Miss Ingram, are you there? All right, Miss Ingram is gone. Let's take the next caller until she comes back. Hello, caller.
Yes, this is Kenyatta.
Hey, baby.
Hi.
Hey,
So you called back to answer my question, right?
I didn't get your question. I actually can't get the channel. What I did was I called my mom and I listened in.
Okay, well, let me tell you what the question to you was, why did you stand by him? Some people turned on him, some people became haters, but you were one of those that stood by him. Why did you stand by him?
I think everybody.
Yep. I'm sorry about that. I think we had a technical error here. I don't think he meant to cut you off. Did he mean to cut her off? No, he didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. These things happen from time to time. We apologize about that. But I'm sure in your kindness, you'll be happy to call back to speak with us, huh? So we're about to hear why she stood by you, man.
Yeah.
I want to hear if your theory is right.
Okay.
Right? All right. You're back on. You're back on live with us. Yes.
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 I think everybody deserves a chance, no matter what they go through, or, I mean, he's my family, and that's my favorite uncle. I love him regardless, no matter what he do. I would never turn my back on him.
So do you have that same affection for every family member, or is there something different about him? Do you feel that way about every family member?
I have the same affection for every family member, but at the same time, it's just some that I take to more than others.
Okay. Well, we appreciated that you were, one of the 360 bricks around his life, but not one of the 360 bricks against his life, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for calling back. We really enjoyed it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, baby.
I think the switchboard is lighting up here. Caller, we have another caller. I think that's caller number 6. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank God, a man's voice.
That I would like to ask you first.
Go ahead, brother.
First of all, I commend you for all that you've done and what you've been through.
Thank you.
But I actually, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask you. One of them is, what was the moment? I know you mentioned earlier that the birth of your daughter, made you a different person than today than who you was before you went in.
Absolutely.
So I guess I'm curious, was she born before you went in?
No.
That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, we don't hear a whole lot about ex-offenders coming out, writing books, and you write well, you read well. I love that.
Thank you.
But what was the process that you actually did go through to get published?
Okay. First question. What? Again, it was my daughter, her birth that changed my life. She was actually born while I was in prison. I had the opportunity to bond out for this case prior to me going to prison, and it was during that time that her mom and I were together. And when I got locked back up, her mom was pregnant. When she was born, I often thought about my son in a way that I wanted him to be exactly like I was. So there was no change or chance for maturation in that respect. But when I had a little girl, I don't know about any other father, but for me, little girls do something to a father. And when she was born, I knew that I had to present a man to her in order for her to know what a man looked like. I didn't want her to be involved with people who would mistreat her, disrespect her, beat her, some of the things that go on today. So I had to be that example for her of what a man looked like. In order for me to be a man, I had to change my ideal and my view of what a man was. So it was more mental and emotional than financial and material. So that did it. And the second question, the process to publish my book was relatively easy once I started the process. I went through a online publishing company, and they were offering their services while I was in prison. It was just a matter of accumulating the funds to do it, and I actually did that for all of my books. And I went through the process. I sent them my manuscript, explained to them what exactly I wanted done for the book, how I wanted it. Everything that you see in Behind These Eyes, Volume 1 and Volume 2, along with Outcry, Volume 1 and Volume 2, is all me. They had absolutely no say-so in what to do. They did exactly what I wanted them to do. They put it together exactly how I wanted them to put it together. And it is now my legacy. It is now something that my babies can have when some long and gone, and hopefully the people who read it will actually get something out of it. So the process was pretty much just
Yes,
doing
it does answer my question.
Well,
Thank you for taking my question, and I wish you the best success in your
Thank
future.
you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
brother,
man.
for calling.
Thank you.
When I say thank God a brother called, ladies, I do not mean that I didn't enjoy hearing your voice. Sometimes we hear that the ladies are always living the struggle. So it's nice
They are at the
it's nice that
forefront
the
of that
guys
struggle.
get in there and support the
Absolutely.
brother as well. So
Yeah.
so I didn't want to hear that. Oh, what did the ladies call? What happened to the brother? So the
Right,
first
right.
brother called and rescued us, put a little bit of a balance to this, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So how you feeling about this, man? This love that you're here feeling from family, people you know and people you don't know. Miss Ingrid
I
called.
appreciate
She
it.
didn't
I
call us back?
appreciate it. I mean, I only could be me. I'm not an egotistical cat. You understand? So I recognize the love. I recognize the appreciation that people have for me, and I appreciate them at the same. So thank you, everybody who called in, family members, non-family members. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
It is what I think of me that makes me me. Huh?
Yeah.
Explain that. Break that down.
Hey, it's self-explanatory.
Is it?
Absolutely. It's
Common
what I
sense
think.
is not very common.
Absolutely.
So
for me,
for
it's,
you it
again,
is.
like I told you before, that oftentimes we try to be what other people project us to be, or what other people want us to be, and the old adage is, we are products of our environment. So whatever the environment dictates, we often conform to. And it was while I was in prison that I decided I wasn't gonna be one of those ones that continue to conform to, from the hood to penitentiary. Penitentiary has its own society itself. So there are people in prison who conform to the ideology of prison. And it's based on someone else's thought or perception of them. I refuse that. I can't be secure in me if I allow someone else to dictate how I move. So my security came with me.
Cooley talks about the looking glass self. He says that the looking glass self basically talks about when someone goes around, they kind of look at other people or to try to see how society looks at them so they can decide what to portray.
Absolutely.
Judge Wood Mead also talks about things that are similar in terms of the me and the I.
Absolutely.
And people look at society, what society thinks of them. That's kind of how they portray them. What you are talking here about the importance of being real. We have a few more minutes to go, but one of the other things that struck me with interest is in the book is that you're saying that prison introduced you to yourself.
Yeah.
Now before you even answer this, and I mentioned on the show last year that the idea of a penitentiary, when the Quakers designed the penitentiary, the idea was actually so people can be penitent. The idea was to isolate you from yourself, because if you were to get into yourself, you will find God's grace within you, because you were made in the image of God.
Absolutely.
But all of the mental, the psychological, the economic pollution that happens around you causes you to stray from yourself. So the idea of the penitentiary, according to the Quakers, with the theory of utilitarianism, was to isolate you so you can be penitent. And if you spent enough time by yourself, you can be, of course, the penitent means to be sorry, as you to have remorse and so on. So explain. So having said that, then when you say about prison introduce you to yourself, what do you mean by that?
In prison, it's like a silent chaos, so to speak. It gives you the opportunity to sit down, and you're not bothered by the ills of the world or the things that's going on in the world. You actually have time to sit down and really reflect, man. And I mean, like I say, introspection is an invaluable resource. And when you have introspection, you actually find everything that you need to identify you by.
So rehabilitation can happen in prison if you're willing to rehabilitate yourself.
Prison doesn't rehabilitate you; you rehabilitate yourself.
But that's why I said rehabilitation can happen in prison.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It can happen in
I'm
prison,
living proof
but
of it,
you
man.
have to do absolutely. Caller, are you on the air? That might be our last caller. Caller?
Hello, how you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good.
How you doing? This is Nate, man. I play ball with you at the prison. Nate Haley.
Big tall Nate.
Tall Nate.
What's up, homie?
What's up, my brother?
How you doing, man?
Did you beat him or did he beat you?
Hey,
I used to always serve him.
Sorry, go ahead.
What's happening, Nate? How you doing, bro?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
Welcome home, man. You've been home
You
for
too,
a while
my brother.
now.
I didn't know that you were. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Go ahead. I said welcome home.
Thank you. I didn't know that you was writing any manuscript books. Where can I get any publication at?
You have
Yeah, you can order the book at Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
No, just call me, Ned. Call me after the show. We'll talk to you. 716-603-0992. Unfortunately, was the last caller. The last caller, I really can you just put them real fast if you get them a couple questions. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, that's the caller. Well, we really have to wind up.
Okay,
thank you so much. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you, callers, for calling in. Last caller, we can take your call. You're looking at Peaceful World Movement Network, Peaceful World Movement in Focus. Your host, Dr. Peter KB St. Jean, with Maurice. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Without Daddy, life was not easy, but you brought me up with dignity. Yes, time was rough, never had enough, but you made it through with the Lord's support. Like a rock, and when the strong wind blew, I was never lost. And when you disciplined, you were very rough. But thank you, Mama, it was good for us. Thank you, Mama.